can Quant theoretically reach the price of $5,000 in 2025, aka this year? I hypothetically think so. And the reason why is because even though nothing I say is financial advice, I think we've seen that historically speaking, this year could be a very special year for altcoins. The reason being is that we all know that the last Bitcoin halving event happened back in April of last year in 2024. Now, usually as a worst case scenario, altcoins, they've been known to peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event. So again, 18 months from then is actually around October this year. Now, people may be thinking, okay, this has historically been the case, but does anyone even have somewhat of a supporting, hypothesis that this could very well happen? Take a look at, for instance, Charles Hoskinson, who is not only the co-founder of Ethereum, but the founder of Cardano. He does predict that in the next 1 to 2 years, based on a video that he was a part of back in November of last year, he did say that, again, 1 to 2 years from then, he predicted that Bitcoin could reach anywhere between $250,000 all the way up to $500,000. If we assume his best case scenario, that's actually November of this year. So it's kind of in line with historically as a time when we've seen altcoins peak as a worst case scenario, which is around October. Now, I get it. Charles Hoskinson is talking about Bitcoin. I'm talking about altcoins. However, we do know that usually when Bitcoin does very well, typically several good altcoins, they typically go along with the ride. So the way I view it is that this could very well, again, be a very special year, 2025. I'm not guaranteeing that it's going to happen like near the end of this year exactly, because history isn't always going to necessarily repeat itself to an exact T. However, sometimes it does tend to rhyme. And I think, again, if anything, it does give a good guiding point in a sense, like a good gauge, right? As to when we could very well see, let's say, something like Quant peak as a worst case scenario. Now, keep in mind though, people like to say that Quant isn't going to be a big narrative because it's a bad project. Well, I'm going to disagree on that, because take a look at, for instance, the Quant network. It's made up of the Overledger OS and the Overledger network. Now, people may be thinking that, okay, the Overledger OS is bad. The Overledger network is bad. Well, I disagree with that, because take a look at the Overledger OS. What it does is that it allows for something called a multi-chain application to be built. And this is very amazing, because this allows an application to be built on top of multiple blockchains instead of just one. Now, traditionally, people have only built on only just one blockchain, which in some cases could be limiting. Like, let's say someone wants to build on Solana, for instance, right? If you take a look at Solana, yeah, sure, Solana is very fast. Gas fees are very low. However, historically speaking, it hasn't been the most reliable. At one point, it did experience 8 different network outages in just a time span of a year. So that's not that great. Now, allegedly, it's been fixed. However, that has historically been the case, allegedly, at one point. So some people may not like that, or some enterprises, I would say. So, of course, sometimes they want to build on top of multiple blockchains and not just be stuck with one. It's like, for instance, right? Let's say someone buys clothes only from one brand. Do they have to buy the pants also from the same brand? Maybe that brand doesn't make, good quality pants. Who knows? Sometimes people, they want to mix and match. And again, the Overledger OS does allow to do that. Or should I say allows for that to happen? Because take a look at, for instance, through the Overledger OS, someone can build an application that, let's say, takes advantage of the Stellar blockchain, which we all know is very fast, but then at the same time take advantage of the Bitcoin blockchain, which we all know, due to its proof of work nature, it is very secure. So that's amazing. That could very well happen through the Overledger OS. So when you think about it, yeah, sure, there's many applications out there as of right now that do exist on only just one blockchain. But moving forward, I think multi-chain applications, again, could be the way to go. It's just more evolutionary, just much better in my opinion. And I think that even though great things do take time and patience, I think it's just a matter of time before something like this does really take off. Now, some people may argue that, okay, adoption isn't necessarily the best for this. Doesn't really matter though, because as of right now, people don't typically care about adoption in its current form. Like, for instance, Solana is primarily known for meme coins, but then still it's done very well despite not having this good mass widespread adoption, in my opinion. People usually care about what something could be in the future, at least as of right now, as opposed to what it already is. Maybe in 5-10 years down the line, they're going to care about current adoption, but they don't care about it as of right now. So when you take a look at the Overledger OS, more specifically multi-chain applications, people think it could be the next big thing, and so do I. And I think it could be a big narrative during this bull run. Now, also take a look at the Overledger network, which is the second part of the, Quant network, I would say. This right here, again, the Overledger network, it does, do some very unique things. Even though it's not the most interesting, take into consideration how this is made up of the Overledger OS users. And on there, they can share their data, their apps, their resources, and monetize them. So that's a good touch again. So the way I take a look at it, I think the Quant network is going to have a very bright future. Not to mention, Quant is very rare. The maximum supply, depending on the exchange, by the way, or the website, it's either between 14.6 to around 14.8 million. You take a look at Bitcoin, maximum supply is 21 million. That's a totally night and day difference right there. Even if we remove 5 million Bitcoin from its maximum supply, that's 16 million. That's still over 1 million more than Quant's maximum supply. So you got to think about that, right? People like to say that Bitcoin is rare, but then this is more rare. I'm not necessarily saying it's better, even though I don't own any Bitcoin and I much prefer Quant. Even despite that, I'm just saying, it is more rare. When I take a look at something like Quant, good use case, good fundamentals, and it's actually listed in many big exchanges, I highly doubt that this is going to be a bad performer, right? As of right now, I get it, things haven't been doing the best, but just take into consideration as the bull run progresses, let's say in March, April, or May, right? I think things could be a lot better, and I think growth beyond a certain point could feel a little bit exponential, at least from what I've seen, because take a look at Cardano's native token called ADA. At one point, price was, believe it or not, hovering around 3 cents. Going to the price of $1, that felt very difficult. But then to $2 from then and then $3, it felt like somewhat of a breeze in a sense, especially back in 2021. And I think the major reason is because usually beyond a certain point, people fully believe in a project, right? So in the case of Quant, I think if let's say it does reach the price of $1,000, I think at that point, people are going to be like, whoa, that's a mental barrier, like a mental block that is kind of removed. And they're like, wow, we really do believe in Quant. Then at that point, $2,000 is just a 2x from that. Then $4,000 is a 2x from there. And then at that point, $5,000 is just within reaching distance or grabbing distance, I would say. So I think that really when Quant does decide to wake up in a massive way, it's going to be fantastic. And people like to say that, oh yeah, the hype for Quant isn't there and all this type of stuff. As fast as people said that, it's equally going to be as fast as when Quant decides to pump. Just think about this, right? When Bitcoin was doing kind of bad not too long ago, people were saying, wow, it's terrible. But then as it began to rise again, and much better in a sense, right? Because it did break a new all-time high, people really believed in it very quickly. So again, as fast as people didn't believe in Quant will be as fast, or should I say equally as fast, in which case I feel like some people will believe in it once it does start doing well. Now, I'm not telling anyone to buy Quant, but personally for me, anytime I do earn income, I'm acquiring, holding, and just waiting. That's it when it comes to Quant, because I do believe in its future. Not to mention, as of right now, there's over 600 million crypto owners, according to Crypto.com research. I highly doubt that this warrant is going to be bad. That right there is more than ever before in history. I think this warrant could be so fantastic, but it's just a waiting game. When it comes to Quant, people like to say that, oh, the project doesn't have much hype and all this. Well, as of right now, again, a lot of attention is for meme coins, AI projects, but eventually it's going to be there. As the old saying goes, every dog will have its day. Quite essentially, each person is going to have their own time to shine, in my opinion, at least from what I've taken from that statement, right? When I analyze that. So when I take a look at Quant, I do believe this is very special, and reaching the price of $5,000 isn't even that crazy anyways. If it were to go to that price, considering current circulating supply, market cap would be around $60 billion. Still over $20 billion less than Dogecoin's all-time high market cap and over $40 billion less than BNB's all-time high market cap. I don't think it's crazy. Now, granted, $5,000 is around a 45x from here. So some people may argue that that's not going to be the best upside of all time, but I think that, if anything, is actually very impressive considering, how relatively speaking, somewhat big Quant is as a project. It's not the biggest, of course, but considering its size, doing, let's say, hypothetically, an additional 45x from here, I don't see why not. I don't think it's too bad, and $5,000 during this run is still my price target. I haven't given up when it comes to Quant, and I still believe in it, and I think 2025 could be a very special year for it. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I greatly appreciate it. It's Malik the Captain, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace. Bye.